Who are the best heavyweights in January 2017? Let's find out. I'm Teekosey, and this is with just 15 defeats. Welcome back to Teekosey Boxing for another round of With Just 15 Defeats, the heavyweight boxing channel exclusively on YouTube. Today I'm going to be discussing and breaking down the heavyweight division to give you my top 15 heavyweights that are currently active in January 2017. Now, I really hope that you stay with me for the full duration of this video as I break down the division, because at the end, I'm going to be giving you my 3 fighters to watch in 2017. So, I really hope you enjoy this video. If you've got any comments, go in the comments section. Let's start the debate. If you don't agree with me, that's brilliant. I want to hear from you. I want to see what your top 15 would be. Who's your number 1 guy? Okay. And remember, please click on the subscribe button, because I've got a lot of content coming for you guys in the next few months. A lot of big fights are coming early 2017. We want to be breaking them down. We want to be previewing them, and we want to be creating the debate. So let's move forward. A lot of people, when they create the rankings, it's very, very subjective, but a lot of people, when they create rankings, it's based on form and the CV. This guy beat this guy, so he must be above that guy, and that guy beat that guy, and that guy, and blah, blah, blah. They've got like-minded opponents, blah, 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 and we create a kind of ranking on that system. That system's good. I like that system, but it's not what I'm going to be doing here today. We see a lot of rankings for the organisations, and they come up with their own system for creating them, and sometimes they're not very clear. We look at those rankings, so like the WBO rankings or whatever, and we think, how is that guy number 9? We haven't even seen him for 2 years or whatever. It can be all different kinds of crazy stuff that's going on. Now, the way that I like to do my rankings is I like to know who is the number 1 guy now. Who's the best fighter on the planet, the best heavyweight fighter on the planet, and I like to work that out. And it's not necessarily based on beating someone, because when you look at the form, Anthony Joshua, who has Anthony Joshua fought? So you could say Anthony Joshua, based on form, isn't even a top 15 guy. Okay, so what I like to do is I like to base it on actual ability that I've come to from assessing the fights. So it's current ability based. It's the current ability with some influence on recent performances, because you can't go too far. You can't go back like 3 or 4 years ago, or it's even longer for some of these guys, and say that has any influence on what we're seeing today. Okay, so I like to kind of assess the true ability. So you've got like how they box, the range of skills, how they can defend, their movement, stamina, chin. How predictable they are. Have they got sick KO power? Are they actually in shape? Because some of these guys in the division are not in shape, and that must hinder their performances. And also, are they close to their prime? Are they in their prime? Are they not there yet? Has their prime been 15, 20 years ago in some cases? Okay. So it's really just my opinion of where the guys are at the moment. In that type of standing. Now, before I start, I'm going to say there's a few people, I've just went through BotShrek and looked at a few guys and whatever that I wasn't going to consider. Firstly, Tyson Fury. Now, love Tyson Fury, huge fan of him, but he's been inactive for over a year, and there's nothing on the horizon. We don't know when he's going to be back. Seen some recent videos of him not looking in shape, blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to take him out of the equation for now, as for the rankings January 2017. Also, some of the guys that have in and around the division in the last year, I'm not considering Tava, Chagiev. I'm not going to consider Klitschko or Charles Martin at the moment. Okay, Tony Thompson, Byron Jennings, and I'm not going to consider Shannon Briggs. He hasn't had a notable fight since 2005. Only had one fight in 2016 against someone who probably wouldn't even be ranked in the top 150. So I'm going to take him out. That might be a bit controversial. Some people might not be happy because they believe that Briggs can become a world champion. For the moment, for the rankings, for the top 15, he doesn't make the cut. Okay, and he wasn't considered. Okay, he may be considered in the future, but we'll see. Okay, so we go to the top 15. Now, number 15 is going to be Jarrell Miller. Now, he's 3 fights in 2016, knocked out all of his opponents. None of them were real relevant opponents, to be honest. He had one fight that was half decent, but he's an interesting one because he has a lot of potential. He's an interesting style. He's a talker. So he will be able to get some interesting fights, I believe, because maybe people underestimate him, and because of the way that he can talk up a fight, they might be able to get big viewers in off the back of him. Okay, but I think he needs a big fight early. He needs an interesting fight in early 2017 to kind of start moving him in the right direction. The only thing I will say about him is his weight. His last fight, he was almost 300 pounds. Some people will say he can carry that weight, it's not too much, but he's 6'4", I think, right? And he's weighing nearly 300 pounds. You're looking at people like Tyson Fury, who came in his last fight at about 245. Deontay Wilder's even bigger, and he's coming at around 225. He's packing a lot of pounds, and he can be somewhat ponderous and pedestrian in his movement, which is quite unusual. When you think about it, he was a kickboxer, so he will have that kind of different style of movement. He's an interesting fighter, and I put him at number 15. Okay, now number 14 is another guy. It's Browne. No fights in 2015. Should have fought Povetkin towards the end of the year. Pulled out of that on the last minute because Povetkin failed the test, but he also failed the test himself, which is somewhat interesting. Got a fine, no suspensions for either guy, but he had no fights. Now he lost his world title strap early 2015, took out almost the entire year, then fought Derek Rossi. Very laboured performance. Didn't really show that he had much left in the tank, to be honest. But somehow managed to get this shot against Povetkin for interim or whatever title it was meant to be at the end of the year. Didn't materialise. I think possibly Browne is on the way out. He hasn't really. His 2 highlight fights were against Chris Arreola, one of which was a stop out. Tidy victories, but when you skirt around the rest, he hasn't really got any standout fights. He put a gallant performance against Wilder, but he was defeated and he lost his belt. I think he's still in the mix. He's still in the mix, and it would. I think it'd be because he lost this Povetkin fight. If he could get a big fight early in the year against someone, and we'll see whether he's still in the mix. Okay, so then we move on to number 13. Number 13, Yaron Duhaupas. Another interesting guy. In the last 2 years, he's got a 3-3 record. He's lost all the 3 fights, which were to Wilder, a decision against Tepa, and he was sparked unconscious against Povetkin at the last minute. Now, I think why he's in the top 15 is I think he's a good yardstick. He's a good yardstick, and he would be good opposition for some of the other guys, some of the guys that are possibly higher up in the rankings, and they want a decent opposition. He's got power. He's got size. He did knock out Helenius, so he's in there on that. Okay, we now move on to Lucas Browne, who's number 12. Now, he only had one fight, but it was the biggest fight of his career. He beat Ruslan Shagayev, and he won the WBA. The WBA? Yeah, I think the WBA title. He came off the canvas to do that. So it was a very impressive performance. Again, he's a guy that doesn't really have much of a CV. He hasn't got much that really took him towards that title shot. But because he won the title, he kind of retains this position. I think he possibly lacks skill, and I think everyone above him would beat him, and I think quite a lot of guys beneath him would beat him. But you've got to take him serious because he did win a title, and he managed to stop a very experienced and high-level opponent, even if he is jaded and faded. Okay, now we move on to number 11, and you got Carlos Takam. Carlos Takam, again, was kind of like Jan Dupa, decent level. He's a good yardstick for other opponents, and I'd like to see Carlos Takam in with other people. He's actually rumoured to be fighting Dupa, which would be an interesting fight. I don't think it takes either of them on any levels, to be honest. I don't see what they get out of it, apart from it probably being a really, really good fight. He's got a very good CV, Carlos Takam. He's been in with some good opponents, and he's proved to be very tough, very durable, and he's got some skills himself. He's got an okay range of shots. And he's a decent level guy, and I believe that he could beat a number of guys in the division. Okay, so then we're going to move on to number 10. Number 10 is Dillian Whyte. Some people might be going, "Whoa, Dillian Whyte is number 10. He shouldn't be this high." Which is fair enough. But I think Dillian Whyte is someone who has a lot going for him. And he's building momentum. They've been quite clever with him. He obviously had the big fight with Anthony Joshua just over a year ago, and he injured himself. He caused Anthony Joshua the most problems he's ever had. He got in the mind of Anthony Joshua, and he earned a lot of money for Matchroom in the process. And then since then, he's had 4 fights in 2016. And it's been a good learning year for Dillian Whyte. He fought cruiserweight early on. I think there was a bit of a problem there in the setup. I can't remember what was meant to happen, but I think the fighter he was meant to fight pulled out or something. Can't remember now. He's then moved on to Dave Allen, Lewison, and Chisora. So he took out the domestic scene in 2016. And whilst he didn't look amazing, he has shown a range of abilities. He completely outboxed Dave Allen. He had an interesting fight with Lewison, and then a war with Derek Chisora. I think there's big things to come for Dillian Whyte. He has a little bit of everything. He has good movement. He's got size, and he can skill. He's got good skills, good shots, good range of shots. He's got a very wide range of shots. Whether he has the KO power, I don't know. Many people tell me that Dillian Whyte has sick power. He hasn't shown it. That's what I'd say. People say the injury, he's building up to it. Let's see. Let's see if in his next fight, seeing who he gets, whether he can spark them out. I'd really like to see it. And I think he has the potential to kind of get to the next level. Right. So that's my rankings from 15 to 10. So we had Jarrell Miller, Bermain Stavern, Jan Dupa, Lucas Browne, Carlos Takam, Dillian Whyte. Now I'm just going to tell you guys that have missed out, because you're already going to be putting together, like the top 9 almost picks itself, almost. I've got a little surprise for you in there, right? But the guys that I think are just on the outside of the top 15 and could make the top 15 are as follows. You've got Andy Ruiz Jr. Now, a lot of people love Andy Ruiz. He's got such a great following. It'd be really good if he could do something. He put a fantastic gallant effort against Joseph Parker, fell short. I think it was very, very close, and I think it could have gone his way, right? But for me, he's not in the top 15. Whilst he does have skills, there's a lot of negatives for Andy Ruiz, and a lot of other guys will be able to dispatch him with ease, I believe. That's my opinion. We've got David Price, massive punch up with a glass chin. Like I've always said about David Price, he has a lot of attributes to become a world champion, And we've seen lesser guys become world champions. Okay, so if he can just avoid getting hit, big thing. He can cause some upsets. We've got Derek Chisora. We know about Derek Chisora. Hopefully he gets a rematch with Dillian Whyte. Dominic Brazil. There's something there. It fell short against Anthony Joshua. Then we've got Spilka. Again, another talented guy. Maybe a little bit small for the division. Gerald Washington. Big guy, promising. There's something about him. There's something about him that I think could be amazing, and there's something about him that makes me think he won't make it. Okay, we've got Robert Helenius, mixed bag. He knocks people out for fun, but then he recently got sparked out himself. Alexander Ustinov, huge giant of a man. He's lost to a few of decent guys, but he could be a great fight for a lot of guys. A lot of the top guys should take the option on him, but maybe they're trying to get the big fight for Ustinov, but he hasn't fought for a while. Then you've also got Manuel Charr and Christian Hammer, kind of fill out that mix of people that are outside the top 15. They're not top 15 guys, but if they get a decent fight, they could push for that top 15. Right, okay, I've decided to pause it there, and we're going to split this into two videos. So we just seen the 15 run down to 10, and in the next part of this video you're going to find out who the top 9 heavyweight boxers are today. That's right, January 2017. So if you like the video so far, you got any comments on the rankings, just click below and leave me a comment. Have I got the first 6 correct? Do you agree with it? Do you have any views on the people I decided to omit? Or have you any predictions on who's going to be in the top 9? Let's start the debate. Let's get it going. I've been Teekosey, and this has been with just 15 defeats. Beats.